That's one of my y'all. That was one of my former students. Well, she's still a current student. Went developed. Hey, what's up, you guys? We're live. I'm sorry about that. This is your girl Erica from the Classy Climb blog coming in. We caught a little behind the scenes chat. I'm super proud of one of my students. She started a mastermind. She bought a bunch of short-term rentals and partnered with people at the Classy Climb event. Super proud of her. Anyway, but I brought on two manly men of virtue. We're coming in with the Batman voice, Mr. Ellis, because I never say his first name right. So I've been telling people Mr. Ellis, and they're like, why do you call him that?
Kamari, it's easy. It's easy.
These black people names, I don't know them. Dr. Ellis, Mr. Ellis. And then we have Mr. Tim Jackson. Now listen, we've got a twofold. I'm going to start y'all on the first one, and then we're going to go to Philly. Because this is going to be a heck of a show, y'all. Now the first part, we're going to address Slutty Vegan's gift of LLCs to the whole graduating class. And then we're going to hit on Philly because Philly is all over the place. Y'all shooting them, y'all booting them, y'all got people moving from New York, and y'all got taxes going up. And so I've got the articles, the data to show it. So let's hit that first part though. Now introduce yourselves before we get started. Tim Jackson, introduce yourself, and then Mr. Ellis, introduce yourself, please.
What's going on, you guys? It's Tim Jackson. Y'all know who I am. We just got off another live, but Mr. Purpose on the Man, Mr. Retired at 37 here in Dallas, Texas. Be sure to give the page a follow. But man, I love coming on the show. I'm excited about tonight's topic. More so to listen and hear what's going on in Philly, because I've always been intrigued by a few cities, and Philly is one of them. So I'm excited to hear what you got to say. I've never had a bad time in Philly. The people in Philly always treated me right. So as a Dallas Cowboy fan, they treat me right.
Oh, really? They didn't beat you up?
Oh man, they gave me hospitality, man. So they knew what time it was. 5 beats 1 any day, but we're not talking about sports.
The shade of it all. Listen, I've never formally met you, Mr. Jackson, but pleasure to meet you, sir.
I was just literally about to say that you beat me to it, Kamari, man. I've definitely seen you on Erica's platform. Looking forward to hearing what you got to say about Philly tonight. But what's up with you? Be sure to follow as well.
All right. Well, listen, Tim kind of spoiled it for me with his Cowboys rant, but it's all good. It's all Eagles love here. All Eagles love here. But listen, we are the city of brotherly love. And if you don't know me, my name is Kamari Ellis, the Finance Rebel. I talk about all things money. I'm a tax accountant by day, financial educator by night. I come here and talk about money, financial issues, business issues, to help folks to get a better understanding of money and how they can use money to empower themselves. But I love Philly, all things Philly born and raised, so it's all good. Now, we are the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, but right now we also are at an all-time high murder rate. So things are getting crazy out here in these streets. Definitely getting crazy.
The reason I'm bringing him on is I have made a post. There is a music event happening, and Philly has some great ones. I mean, it's got everybody named Mama the Roots, Jill Scott, you name her, they're there. And I was like, this would be amazing, except it's in Philly. I had over 150 comments in my DMs like, why you trashing Philly like that?
Right.
Don't do it like that. I said, man, I was in Philly airport. And I was like, Philly not bad. Except for TSA was cussing. But then I got to the thing where they made us get on a raggedy bus outside and ride to this other part. I said, come on, Philly. Not the bus. Not the short bus shorty action. And Philly folks got on me again. Now I made a video, y'all, that went viral maybe a year ago about Philly cracking down on wholesalers. And I thought, they're cracking down on black folks making money. That's just what it is. But before we get deep into Philly cheesesteaks are delicious. But before we go there, Mr. Ellis and me have been doing some internet silliness. Me, him, and Ivy Investor. Now, y'all be surprised where I am on this, but the notorious LLC community just started LLC and get this magic business credit. Just started LLC and depressions are gone. Get an LLC and all things will be great. Even Donald Trump's lawyer got an LLC. It was weak as crap, just flimsy piece of paper. And I know there's a desire for the Black community to be better, but recently, Slutty Vegan, who she is amazing. She's wonderful. The sandwiches are worth standing up in the line for, y'all, I promise. She got raised $25 million. So I don't know if it'll be Slutty Feast going to be a franchise or what at this point. But she went to is it historically black college or just a college? Which one is it?
Historically black, Clark Atlanta.
Clark Atlanta, historically black. And she gave the graduating class, they got up there, they get ready like, hey, what you about to give us? She gave them all LLCs, each individual student, for a graduation present. Now, I have thoughts on it, but I would like to hear your thoughts, Mr. Ellis.
Why you set me up? Right?
And also Tim, I want to hear what y'all think.
You already know what I think. So listen, my commentary has been my commentary for decades, right? I've had the same position. I will maintain the same position. I think Slutty Vegan is a genius, Miss Pinky Cole. Just want to put that out there for the record. But I have no idea what gifting a class from Clark Atlanta LLCs is going to do, but potentially get them into tax problems and more credit issues. But you asked me what I think. I thought it was very convenient that she mentioned Varo Bank, which is owned by Bancorp. So I think this is a ploy to get more alignment with the bank and then introduce these college students to Varo Bank, aka Bancorp. I was going to do a video about it. I guess I don't have to do it now.
I mean, you still can do it. I'm just, I wanted to hear an accountant's thought. You're not necessarily accountant, you're a tax professional.
I'm an accountant. I'll take the tag. I'm an enrolled agent. I'm an accountant. My daddy was an accountant, trained me up. My degree is in finance. So I've worked in just about every aspect of business, personal finance, and tax. So I'm well versed. And not only that, right, when I do my trainings and things like that, I have to meet with a lot of attorneys, tax attorneys. Like you mentioned, the Ivy Investor. The Ivy Investor is a tax attorney. The woman's got a whole ESQ JD behind her name. So she's not just some over the night super social media guru who went to YouTube University and majored in Instagram and TikTok. So she actually knows what the heck she's talking about. And those are my folks. Those are the kind of people I bang around with. So, and we agree.
As you can see.
Yes, I had to put Erica front and center because she was with the shenanigans.
I said, clearly y'all chosen violence.
Yes, and guess what? I'm going to continue to choose violence on this topic because there's too much misinformation out there. Now, to be clear, I have nothing wrong with. I have no problem with LLCs when used properly. I have no problem with corporations when used properly. I can't tell you how many times I've had people come and see me and they've done something wrong, or they filed an LLC, didn't do anything with it, didn't have a business idea, didn't have a business plan, had no business acumen. Before, when we were behind the scenes, you were talking to your former student, you showed her some of the most important things in business are marketing and sales. Most of these people have no idea about what marketing and sales are, let alone where to look it up in a dictionary. So let's not set up people for failure. Let's build them up, get them a proper education so they can actually be owners of their future and determine their destinies without getting all this silly stuff. Most people don't need LLCs. They can start off, because a lot of us are starting from the mud. They can start off being a sole proprietor. They don't have to worry about any state fees, which depending on the state you're in, you'll have to file. You have to worry about extra filings. You don't have to worry about extra accounting bills. Keep it simple.
Talk to us, Tim. Thoughts on the Pinky Slutty Vegan LLC gift.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, I am.
Can you hear me well?
Yes. Keep talking to the mic. Go ahead.
My mic, I'm not sure if it's on. I do so many of these things from my house. I didn't realize my mic was sitting here. You know how I feel about symbolism. A lot of stuff, and I'm new to this internet space, so
talking to the mic.
That's cool. I don't really care. I'm not really intimidated easily. I'm not a fan of symbolism. I'm a fan of actually creating financial change. And I looked at the LLCs as giving somebody a ugly sweater for Christmas, right? Everybody doesn't want an LLC. An LLC may not even benefit you based on the way your business is structured. Texas doesn't have a state tax, but I pay more fees to have an LLC every year.
Yes, we do.
I just thought it was symbolism. And I think that in the Black community, we allow symbolism we wear symbolism like a badge of honor. And we wear symbolism like it's actually progress. That's just like giving somebody a stick shift and they've never driven a manual transmission vehicle. Like, it's a car, it'll get you somewhere.
Great analogy.
But if you don't know how to drive a manual transmission, you're gonna tear it up.
Tear it all the way up.
I don't like symbolism. I hate symbolism. You know, like
So you don't want my actual quarter?
I mean, and then again, you have to ask yourself, like, I didn't even think of it from the perspective that was just presented. This is an introduction to a bank, which essentially is going to be an introduction to you becoming a customer of that bank, which is going to give, you know, you're going to be paying that bank interest forever as long as you're their customer, right? So I don't know, man. I don't care for symbolism. Like, give the kids something tangible. It's great that she gave them something. I've been criticized. I went to my whole old high school one time and spoke, and I think I wrote a check for a couple $100 or $500 just to show them that they should give back. Somebody left a bad review on my business page saying, "Oh, you go to a high school with all these people, and you gave a couple $100. What's this going to do to change?" And it wasn't to change; it was to show them that you have to invest in your community. But whatever.
Man, but that's pizza for the club, for the business club at the school. That has changed.
You know what I'm saying? And they didn't pay me to be there, for the record. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so I hate symbolism. I'm never a fan of symbolism. Whenever I see a symbolic gesture, I always give it back. You can't give someone something of that magnitude without preparing them for it. So my question is there going to be a class that shows them how to operate that LLC properly, how to apply and utilize the tax benefits? What if an incorporation is what they needed? Like, come on, man. I mean, y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, when you're really in business and you really do this shit, you look at certain things like, all right, man, since you got the bag, you got the 25 mil, you ain't gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like, we support you. Like, we don't need the symbolic gestures.
So part of my issue with it, of course, y'all, keeping it 100 is, I agree with I invested a lot of them on the LLC slander, you know, all the LLC talk, because I think it's a way to get the people in, right? And I get the idea, like, hey, if I get them in talking about, you get an LLC, you can get all this business credit without PG, then I can educate them, right? It's a business model, it's marketing. In Georgia, an LLC only costs $125. I'd rather her have given everybody in the audience $125 and let them do what they want with it. Much rather. But I understand the heart behind it. Like, the heart was, you know, hey, the truth of it is that bank might have been like, this is all we're going to give you. So you figure out, you know, what to do with it at the graduation. So I don't begrudge her. I don't know what was the offer behind the scenes, right? But at the end of the day, the LLC stuff. Huh?
You can't attack her, because then you're attacking Black women. You can't criticize. Then you're attacking Black women.
You don't like Black women, is what you're saying.
But at the end of the day,
I love Black women.
I mean, well, we all do, right? But I mean,
I know.
The moment you're critical,
the
moment we're critical of someone, you know, I'm really on this big accountability campaign right now. Like, we got to be accountable. Like, I love the gesture. From the standpoint of saying that there needs to be ownership, but I have 5 different LLCs that I essentially have to do taxes on and renew every single year. If I miss a renewal by one day, that's a $50 fine per, right? Like, so now I got to pay reinstatement fees. Like, there's so much that comes with that.
Man, I had to pay reinstatement before.
You think they're gonna renew it?
But, you know, for the record, I think she got caught up in the moment, right? All the major people that go to Atlanta to these major commencements do something, right? Oprah is known for paying for the Morehouse men going to college, paying their tuition behind the scenes. Robert Smith basically was last year before last, basically said, for this graduating class, I'll wipe out your student loan debt, right? She's in Atlanta. She's a Clark. She got to come with something. So I get it. I guess.
Can I say something to that nature? Why does she have to come with something? Like, why are we setting the standards so high that when our people show up, they got to do something for us? Like,
I mean,
I don't know.
you might have missed my sarcasm, but I love the
No,
question.
no. I'm with you. I'm not like crapping on what you're saying. Like, why as a people do we force her? Okay, well, such and such paid off to this. What you gonna do next? Like, we're not doing that with other people.
One up and
Does
stuff.
that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, listen, right? I feel you. So I do like symbolism. I do think symbolism serves a purpose. But to your point, we overdose on symbolism.
Yeah.
It's like you need symbolism because you want to maintain certain traditions, to do certain things because it serves a tangible aim, right? We don't just need symbolism for the sake of symbolism, folks. But sadly, we get these toys, we get these trinkets, and that's it. Everybody's looking for Christmas early, but nobody really wants to put in the work. And that's the sad part about it.
That's a fact.
Okay. Well, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna leave it there. We're gonna leave it there because we hear about the Philly. But I want y'all to understand, like, I'm with them, but I also laugh because I cheer on Aisha Selden out of Philly cracks me up because she's all like, get that poverty shit on my face. And I just love it because like she's one of those people like, we need to own something, right? Like, and it just cracks me up.
But I mean, to
she does it in
right?
a smart way. She does it in a smart way. She says it in a smart way.
She does it so masterfully, right? I love Aisha.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Aisha. But she's right? We've been fed a diet of poverty. And yeah, we definitely have our issues. Erica, we've talked about it on this show. But what would happen if we stopped focusing on poverty and started focusing on getting to the real money and getting to the real positioning and power, right? Because I'll be honest, I'm feeling some kind of way about even talking about Black wealth, Black money, because it's always to a consumeristic or materialistic aim a lot of times, and which is being kind of all mixed up in the pot with. So, and that's very dangerous.
Well, because a lot of the LLC community did the whole G-Wagon thing forever. And I was like, y'all don't want to be millionaires. Y'all want to be able to spend $1 million, right?
But that goes back to what Tim was saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, go ahead, Tim. I'm sorry.
No, they want to look like money. I watched something today that was like how to buy property with your LLC, and they left out so many of the steps that go in it.
They always
gave
do.
like 3 steps, and I was like, man, they trying to get somebody sued.
Well, and it's a marketing technique where they're like, Erica only got 30 seconds or a minute or TikTok time to catch people's attention. And you can read some of the comments on TikTok. They'll be like, man, stop feeding us this, like it's not the full answer. And so here's my issue with it is, I get it as a marketing person. I completely understand what y'all do. I feel you. I see you sneaky. But getting people to sign up for classes and a bunch of people won't. The reason I brought this beginning part of the LLC is because we literally drugged the body of him 500 over the coals for days, for weeks, for months, because of what he said about banking and loans and getting loans. And was it bank fraud what he said? Yes, I agree. No, I'm not taking that away. But that's when we have that soundbite culture. And I think Wallow made a comment about, well, we get so addicted to soundbite culture, we're not understanding that somebody's taking this little piece of what we said and running with it, like running all the way to the bank with it, unfortunately. And so that's why I wanted to bring up that beginning part about the LLC culture, because we're trying to trick people into getting more education, but I don't know if that's the way to do it. Showing them G-Wagons and Benzes and cars. Is this how we have to trick people into wanting to be better? I don't know.
I ponder this a lot, to be totally honest and transparent. So much so I was actually thinking about kind of stepping away from social, because I do feel like the liars that talk about the 6,000 pounds, right? Because that's what they really are. They're lying. These hire your kids people, in the way that they're expressing in the content, the context, and what they're expressing is kind of a lie. It's kind of a hustle. And so for me, I'm like, what's the point? I can just run ads and make money for my business instead of spending time doing content. I do the content because I started on radio and I love the interaction, and I was actually able to help people. And I still do that now, but it's like, when you look on a post that's got a G-Wagon in it and it's all lies, or at least partial lies and partial truth, it's like they got 1 million views. And my view over here has got like 127 views or something like that.
Well, but here's the thing. There was a white guy said it earlier this week. He was like, if I say y'all can make all this money before it's 15 million views. If I say, if I'm teaching financial education, that's 1,300 views. And this is a white dude. Like, the white people are starting to be like, hey, y'all, what's going on? Even they are complaining on social media about it's really skewed. And so I'm getting to the point, even here as a creator myself, y'all, we got to run the ads. The paid traffic is where Facebook. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I saw Tim tapping. I was like, we got to be able to understand that paid traffic is kind of the future, because they're making it almost algorithm sort of that the silly season gets first light. So that's my soapbox. I'm gonna get off it. But here's
people love a good scam too. You know, I guess where I'm from, we pull up on you, you know, if you scam us, right? So like if you do bad business, like a handshake matters where I'm from. Mm-hmm. If you say you're gonna do something, then we expect you to do it. And then if you don't, then we're gonna have a conversation, right? So it's really hard for me to get on the internet and sell people bullshit, because where I'm from, I'm expecting for somebody to pull up on me like, yo, what's up with this you sold, right? But people like us, you know, that we have to work harder to get that traction, because those 30-second LLC videos or some of the symbolic things that don't really get you anywhere, it makes people feel good about themselves in that moment. And people want to feel good and feel validated. But the fact of the matter is there's a lot of work that goes into building up what it is you're trying to build up. Nobody sees the work we put into it. People just show the end result. That's why I make it a point to always show the work and the mistakes, because I want to attract people that's going to actually stick around. Because every 6 months to 12 months, we see another internet personality being exposed for being a fraud. And I'm not talking about people just calling them a fraud. I'm talking about people exposing them, right? And then it's like
people have roommates in their 40s and 50s. Tim, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Oh, yeah. I was saying, people have roommates in 40s and 50s that, you know, 2 minutes later they rich, and like, you know, the fake it till you make it culture. People made fun of me forever for driving my Ford Fiesta, which is just parked now. It's just parked. Because they had roll-up windows. They're like, you got roll-up windows. And I'm like, yeah, but I got 3 other cars. Yeah, but I got 6 rental properties. Yeah, but I got a 10-acre little baby farm in North Carolina that I grow honey on. But they don't see that, right? Even Coach Carter, I don't know if you ever noticed in his post, he drives a minivan. And people be clowning him for driving a minivan. He's like, I got kids.
So you talking about Malik. So me and Malik are friends in real life.
Did you see what Malik was saying? He's like, I got kids, y'all.
And Malik will tell you he's also really cheap. He'll say that out his mouth.
Yeah, he do that. But it was like a video where he was in a minivan and people were like, well, I'm going to listen to you. You in a minivan. And he's like, I got all these children. How they going to get in the car? Like, it's just crazy.
And Malik gets to it, right? The first time I met Malik was in one of his properties that he brought. He loves to have like little gatherings, and he had a poker event there. So he not faking it. And out of all the, out of just about every big so-called YouTuber that's out there or social media person, I don't think any of them probably have more real property than Malik Coach Carter.
Only other person is Asia. But she stopped buying in 2018.
But you know what?
She stopped buying in 2018.
But you know what? It's so funny. Aisha is a quote unquote social media guru, but I don't hold her in that esteem.
Right.
Because she's done the work, and she's not really promoting anything. She ain't selling anything. She's telling y'all this is what I'm doing.
Well, she usually has her newsletter, and her book, but that's not a lot. You know, at the end of the day, like I told this guy I didn't want to make any more courses. They're like, why, man? You can make all these courses. I said, man, at the end of the day, like the study, it's a lifelong study. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not I'm gonna buy this one course and I'm gonna be great. I'm gonna get everything. I'm gonna do everything I need off this one course. So
thanks.
There's a lot tied up to that. But I'm gonna have to cut this segment and make it a whole video by itself. Cut the segment here. We got somebody in here. Oh, look, somebody said homeboy is definitely Batman. We got males. We got Wisconsin, Philly up in the building. We got some Texas still in the building. Yeah, this is true. You can have a great message and tell people the truth, but they want to see fancy cars and trips. Let me tell you something. Every time I've traveled in first class or documenting travel, I had more course sales. It was insane. I'd be like, come on, y'all. Come on now.
You know, Erica, it's funny though. You know, it's kind of like with me and the Jordans, right? You know me for a long time. I start wearing Jordans, and I realized that my demographic a lot of times kids 10 to 18 and their parents. The kids wouldn't listen to me before. I show up to the school in some retro Jordans. It's like I'm the man. But it's like we're passing that down to our kids now. The parents don't listen to you if you're not in the big body Jordans, and the kids ain't gonna listen to you if you're not in no Jordans. So it's just like at some point in the game, when we're gonna acknowledge that material validation is just it's an illusion, Who's that little fine woman y'all got on the screen right there? She look kind of good. Who's that?
Hey, sir. Oh, don't make me tell your wife. You gotta pay attention.
That is my wife.
No, I'm just messing.
You know what? I hesitated and say, "Yeah, she's fine." I was like, "Wait a minute. Let me pause. Like, I don't want no smoke."
Okay, so let me pop y'all in. They really do. So Philly delayed property assessments for 3 years. And I want y'all to understand, the reason I keep talking about taxes and tax liens, that's been tax liens for over 7 years now. And North Carolina, the whole state's got to do an assessment for the whole state. Several states, because of the pandemic, they got it on steroids. They about to put everybody's business out there on Front Street. You may go buy everything. And Philly is no different. Philly gets a lot of news from New Yorkers moving down there, and somebody called it like the nice borough or some crazy crap. And Philly was like, boo, don't call it that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, don't change its name. But Philly is now getting a assessment, and they said the residential value is going to jump 31%. What's going on up there, Mr. Ellis? What's happened?
Well, I don't know if you saw it. There was another article that said Philly had the most amount of $1 million plus sales recently. Mm-hmm. And so when you have all these $1 million home sales, the assessments go up. Mm-hmm. And so everybody kind of gets hurt. But part of the story, though, that they're not telling is that city council has to approve it. And what happens is the millage rate will go up. It hasn't gone up yet. That's what they are expecting. Will it happen? Who knows? I would just say be prepared that this is just the life of Philly right now and a lot of other major cities that are experiencing gentrification. And it's good and bad all at the same time, right? Listen, the Fed made it really, really easy for people to get money, to get mortgages. Also, builders weren't building after the 08 crisis, 09 crisis. So we have like this perfect storm now. So I'm really waiting to see what's going to happen if the Fed really is going to slow down buying, which they say they are. They're already increasing interest rates. So I think there's a lot that's going to happen there.
So right here it says more than 580,000 properties in the city will have a new tax assessment for 2023, which are due next March. Property owners can expect to get written notices for their new values by September 1st. The new values are expected to be uploaded to the city's property search website Monday. Big picture, Philly's current housing situation with low inventory and surging prices has drastically changed from pre-pandemic times when the last property assessment took place. We scroll again. The average home sale in Philly went from $267 in 2019 to nearly $311,000 in January. Okay, so I just wanted to pull that, but I also want to pull this up. Okay, because I'm petty. Okay, I want y'all to see some of this Baltimore-looking Philly up in here, right here. And if I own one of these, y'all better not raise my taxes. Bet not.
That's okay. How it's gonna look for the next 3 years. It's not gonna look like that 5 years from now, and that's what people don't understand. Like we saw it in Dallas, like $20,000 trap houses being sold. That's worth $250-300 now. Like it ain't gonna look like that in 5 years. Like that's what people need to understand. It ain't gonna look like that.
That 47,500 property, what's that, 1420 Mayfield Street?
Yes.
I used to live in that zip code, 19132. And I never forget, it was like super duper hard for me to even get a mortgage on my home. And now they're homes. And I think when I finally did get a mortgage, it was like $30,000 or something like that. And there are homes in that area now going for 100, 150,000 easy. And I'm piggybacking on Tim, right? Because he said that when I was living there, I couldn't see it because it was Trap City. There was a lot of, I lived in North Philly. That zip code is North Philadelphia right there. One of the most treacherous places in this country. But I couldn't see it. I see it now. I see it clear. And the crazy thing is, right, all this is a pattern. It happens over and over and over again, right? They move all the poor people out and they upgrade the property and they displace the poor and then they start all over again. And so this cycle will happen again in another 40 years, sadly. Where, I don't know, but I would say keep your eyes out.
Oops, sorry, hold on. I'll dump y'all up in prices because we had a person. I don't know. I haven't kept up with her.
Look at that one right there. Go back.
Oh,
Go back.
no, hold on. Wait, let me go back. Where was I?
Hit the backspace button. And this is just an observer. No, go back if you can.
Hold on. I'm trying.
It's all good. It's all good. Oh, never mind. Oh, you back in Texas.
That looks good. That looks good. There we go.
Hold on.
Here.
Let me scroll down to the bottom. You know Realtor.com be janky.
Realtor.com janky.
You have to be
there was a house that was just on the page, and the house right next to it, like, had been completely painted white. It looked totally redone on the outside.
Okay.
Like right there, the one in the middle. Like, is that normal, Kamari? The house to the left and the house to the right, like those are like freshly painted houses.
Both of those do. Oh, and it looks like they were doing some work too. And the one on the right might be freshly painted. That might be
right here.
Yeah.
There's not even any burglar bars on that junk.
The one to the left is, but again,
the
that's
one to the left is just the one to the right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, something's happening over there, right? When you start seeing fresh paint, no burglar bars,
it's Glenwood.
They're going to put the bike lanes down.
Anytime it say here Glenwood, I'm nervous. It's North Philly, Glenwood.
And look what 30,000 gets you. It gets you a shell. You got to go in there and completely renovate. So FHA is not going to lend to you. So that means that a person trying to look for affordable housing, they can't buy that. That screams investor. You think an investor is going to come in there and create affordable housing?
Some might, but most won't.
Most won't.
Most won't.
You got those like us that might, like what we did. We bought the houses and we put people from the community back in it, but we were last of a dying breed.
But that's part of the argument, though. When I sit here and talk to people, like 60% of Black people are renters, and the number one thing we're complaining about on the internet every day is the cost of housing. Okay, that means one or two things. Some people, more of us gotta buy, and some of us gotta rent, and you can't be beating up your Black landlord. I don't know if you ever saw that video on Instagram where a Black man rented to this Black woman and she tore the whole place up, like broke all the windows, spilled paint all over the place. And he didn't even evict her. He had let her just leave. And part of my thinking was, and I'm going to say this really truthfully, I don't think she did that to a white person. I think she was pissed at that brother for putting her out. And he wasn't even going to file a video to tell her, you just got to get out. Right? No problem. You can't pay the rent. No problem. You just got to get out. But to break every single window pane in a whole house.
So you're triggering me right now.
I'm going to have to trigger you because I feel like she would have not done that.
No. Hear me out. I'm going to tell you why you're triggering me. I used to be a former property manager. That story is one of the horror stories of why I'm more of a stock person than I am a real estate person, for myself personally, because I have some horror stories. And one of them was very much like what you just described. I put a family out. They had paid rent in almost 8 months. I was actually really, really lenient on them. By the way, I was a terrible property manager, as in terms of collecting. Thank you.
Right
now, I have to admit that, right? Well, me and my dad, I had to step in for my dad for a while and do it, and we talk about that. And I had to say, listen, you have to know yourself. I'm not a good property manager. I can handle the renovations. If I had to ever do it again, I would outsource everything. I would handle renovations because I can get contractors and do the bids and all that. But I get a little soft on folks when it's time to put them out. But back to the story, put this family out. It was like 2 families in North Philadelphia, right? It was a duplex. They moved out. I closed the doors, changed the locks. They had a teenage son who scaled the wall 2 stories, broke the window to get in. I went in, boarded it up. I said, all right, it's good. He won't come back. Sucker came back and kicked the window in, kicked the board in, and it was screwed into the wood. It was screwed into the wood. So this isn't like some flim-flam job. He kicked it in, still don't know how he did it, proceeded to break all the windows, defecate and urinate on the floor, broke the toilet, the actual toilet, broke the bathroom bowl, the vanity, and just did over $30,000 worth of damage. So I actually probably would agree with you. We tend not to treat our white counterparts the same way we treat our black brothers and sisters.
But we find out the landlord's black, we about to act a monkey fool. And guess what? That boy would have been in jail. Did you press charges?
I didn't. There was no witnesses. There was no witnesses.
Let me tell you something. You know, if I witness me, I roll by his house. Everybody lazy.
Your brother, Kamari.
They be like, Kamari, shot a man.
But yeah, it wouldn't.
But I'm gonna come see you. You gonna have legs in a cast.
Yeah, that's sad, man. And the sad thing about it is, I always tell people when you're doing good things, you attract 2 types of people. When you're a genuinely good person, you attract 2 types of people. You attract scammers and you attract needy people.
Yep.
Because they're going to prey on your natural instinct to show deference and to be lenient. And I had to learn early in the game, like, then people had to know that someone was kind of off with me, you know what I'm saying? Like up front, like literally signing the lease. I would tell people like, we don't do that extra shit, So if you have an issue, just, we're going to handle it amongst ourselves. You know what I'm saying? I'm the coolest landlord you'll ever meet, property owner you'll ever meet. Man, I'll be your worst nightmare if you tear up my house. Like that would literally be the conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like we set the tone up front. You know what I'm saying? True. Like y'all think I'm bad. My wife's worse. So
it's always some small women. They be sad.
Yeah,
right
we set the tone up front. Like we're not calling the police. So but they wouldn't have did that to a white family.
They wouldn't have. We know they would have. Because they'd have been embarrassed. They'd have been embarrassed to do such things. And the truth of it is like I noticed when I was growing up, my cousin had his cop car, and sometimes he would park it at his mom's house. And it was because he owned the properties on the left and the right of it. And he wanted to let them know, like, ain't gonna be no drama over here. And he would park his cop car over there. And he said we'd never have any problems, or they would move shortly after that. Because they noticed the cop car keeps being parked there, right? I will say my mom had tenants, and she went to the house one time because the property manager was busy. Something happened. She was like, well, show me where the water damage at real quick so I can go with the call. And when the black people asked, was she the owner? They unrenewed their lease for the year. They said, oh, we got to get out of this lease. And mom was like, well, what happened? Because the water damage? And the landlord said, oh, no. So all of a sudden they wanted to move after you came by. I feel like it's some kind of, like, you're not going to make money off us kind of attitude out there. But I'll put it to you this way. The white landlord is not going to play with y'all. He's not going to play with y'all. Okay? He just not. Look, so y'all say I'm get a white property manager? Yes. Get a white property manager.
You just got to let them know up front. Like if you let people know up front what time it is, and I've had some pretty sketchy looking renters, but then again, I'm not afraid of my people, right? I'm going to help as much as I can and put you in a position to win. But you're not gonna punk me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that was the case with you, Kamari. I feel like they were just being spiteful because they knew your heart. And I've seen that before. I've had people that I managed properties for try to spite me because they knew my heart, right? It's unfortunate that you went through that. I had an uncle who had something similar to that, where they tore up his house and shot his dog.
Shot his dog.
No, what the dog got to do with it?
Because he left a dog there. It was a country house. He left his dog there tied up when he moved to the city. They tore up that man's house and shot his dog. He never got it. He got out of real estate that day and never looked back, to the point where when I told him I was getting into real estate, he said, "Don't do it." You know.
Well, no, I'm not that bad though. I actually still encourage. I still encourage my people to stay in real estate.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that you had to go through that, because you know, but they wouldn't have did that to a white person.
They wouldn't have, and we know it. I mean, we can say whatever we want here. We know it's the truth. But the reason I'm looking at it, exactly who shoots a dog? You know what I mean? Like, just foul people. But the reason, someone said in the chat, and I want to bring it up, and Jay, we ain't talking about Dallas, we talking about Philly, but I thank you for the super chat. We'll come to it. She said, pull up in Baltimore. Same scenario. Row homes going for $30K in the Butchers, and Boston Hill in 2014. Now they're looking like $300,000 or more.
That's a fact.
Is it true? Because I can probably go up from here. Let me see if I go to page 5. Because it's 3,000. I mean, I probably should just do the price like this. Price at 50K. Oh, 80K. Do 80K.
And as these prices are going up, the people that are in these communities, they still don't see the value. They're like, I wouldn't pay, like, even me and my mother, I wouldn't dare pay that much money for this house. I'm like, Mom, you bought a house 30 years ago on a 10% interest rate. Like, of course you wouldn't pay that much for it. You paid it in interest, you know?
Probably paid $1,000 for it too, right?
Bro, my mother paid more for her house that she had a mortgage on for 27 years than I've ever paid for any house that I've owned. You know what I'm saying? Being a person that purchased 20 years later. Like, we don't see the value until someone comes in and creates that value. And it's unfortunate.
But that, we can't expect people to put some money into these properties and then we're going to keep paying $1,500 rent. That's not going to happen. So now I'm at 100,000. I done went up. Woo, Philly. Woo.
Philly's such a beautiful city too. In my opinion, I like East Coast cities. I'm a little biased. Yeah, we're so
I like older cities.
You know?
Yeah, you like me. You like the homes that George Washington used to live in.
Yeah, man. It's funny because people come down south and they see our house. I'm like, man, these houses are crappy. But they be like, man, y'all got a yard. And y'all
Texas houses are ugly, most of them. But North Dallas does a really good job of some of the architecture of the newer houses. But the older 1980s houses, I'm like, what is y'all thinking out here? All right, let me show you this one. This one is at 105. They painted it.
Scroll down a little bit on there, Erica. I can't see it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, do I got something on the screen? Hold on, make sure I have everything on the screen.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Move
bad,
us to the side. Move us to the left. Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
So that's 105. Where is it at? It looks like
this
it's
is off West Seltzer Street. Strawberry Mansion and Legendly Hill is up to the left of just the map right here. Bam. North 29th is over here.
Yep, I got a cousin that live on North 29th. Yep. That whole Strawberry Mansion area is booming, which is bordering Brewery Town. And so that whole area is exploding.
You can tell they did the work. I mean, it's, some spots that's looking rough.
All right, what's the eviction process out there like? Is Philly more tenant friendly or landlord friendly?
More tenant friendly. I know that they have some new laws on the books. I haven't been up to date on them, but on average, it would take you at least 6 months to get somebody out of your property.
And see, it only takes 45 days here. That was always my hesitation for buying in Detroit.
But that's red state versus blue state, right? I mean, if we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it right now.
I feel it handicaps y'all because there's no incentive to really improve these areas if I can't get your ass out.
Well, but if we're gonna talk about that too, we gotta keep in mind Dallas is a blue county. It's definitely Democratic, and many of our eviction laws are based on the county. You see what I'm saying? But Texas is a red state, so we have to factor that too. Like Texas is business friendly; it's gonna always favor the business owner.
And you gotta have nuanced conversations when it comes to the blue red thing. And a lot of times folks are like, I'm just Democrat. And I've been on record and say I don't like a lot of Democrats. But I will also tell you that homeboy that was in the last administration was the orange monkey. So, again, you gotta look at all the whole sides of the field.
But he had he had black people wide open though. Like we can really listen. Think about it. Black people were like, oh damn. Like black people were really paying attention. Like they were complaining about nepotism and people hiring their own kids with the Donald Trump administration. And I just want you to know, it was money time, money talks, bullshit walks. Like Obama was in there. It was colorful. It was beautiful. It was kumbaya. But when Trump got in there, people were like, oh shit, I better go back to work. But before we get,
that's because, like Tim said, people get caught up in symbolism, and that's what Trump did, a whole lot of symbolism. But
this right here, this on this corner, is it safe to own a corner property or what?
That looks like Allegheny Avenue, but I can't tell. Where is that at?
This one is yes, it's in that same area where we were at before. 2602 West Silver Street. It's on a corner. It's painted. The inside is absolutely red.
Scroll down a little bit more.
Yeah.
Silver, yeah. So it's right in that area. Yeah, I mean, I like corner homes. Corner homes typically are a bit bigger.
I mean, they did it. Look inside. They did it 100 all the way.
Yeah,
what are your gun laws like there?
Nothing like Texas, but you can get a gun law. Matter of fact, I just got my gun license the other day.
That's dope. Conceal to carry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes a difference.
It makes a difference every day. They really did this one. I ain't gonna front. If I was a turnkey investor and felt like I could get them out, yeah, I would buy this. Oh, what's going on down there though? What's going on down here?
It looks like they're trying to seal code it, and they haven't finished yet. I don't know why they would take the picture and post it before they were done, though. I guess they were rushing.
They were rushing.
But I mean, it looks like that's good work, though, for the most part.
Mm-hmm. For the most part, yeah. So, but yeah, I like. Oh, is gray y'all favorite color? Because everything that get updated look like they painted gray. What's up?
Well, you know those are easy sell colors. That's all.
Maybe like ignore everybody else on the street. Look at this gray. So here's my issue. The property taxes go up. Doesn't that mean rent about to go up in Philly?
Yeah, more than likely.
Where are the rents at currently?
Rents are already sky high. I know my son was looking for a place to rent, and he's complaining. He was like, "It's too low. I mean, excuse me, it's too high. Rents are too high. The rent's too damn high." But it is what it is.
The fact that you look late 30s black and got a grown son is always cracking me up. Black people don't crack. Just moisturize.
You just trying to make me feel good. But
I'm serious. Like you don't look old. You know what I'm saying? You don't look old. You look older, like you're a grown man, but you don't look old. You have no grown kids.
Well, I'm gonna keep drinking my water. I'm about to get back to the gym so I can live long. Because as you get older, you're seeing a lot more people fall off because their diets suck.
Man, listen.
We got to start recognizing that health is wealth.
Tim Jackson out here stunting on all the. I was telling my personal trainer about Tim Jackson out here. He went on the Beyonce diet and dropped 40 pounds and was like acting on everybody. Like, where y'all at? Get in the
gym. Hey, you know what's so funny? While we go into the next house or topic, health is wealth. And man, my wife said I was like having sleep apnea. Like I wasn't breathing. My breathing was stopping in my sleep because I got so overweight. I barely get any sleep anyway. Man, it just was affecting so many things. I remember when I came out to come see you, when I came and spoke at your last event, I ended up getting pneumonia shortly after that. And it was the most miserable time of my life. And when I was just reading up on the research and stuff like that, like why people stay ill so long, it had everything to do with your diet. And so I was like, I got to drop some pounds, man. Like I got a baby on the way, wife knocked up. I want to be around. I'm already going to be an old parent. I might as well be around, right?
That's right. Now it looks like you're on Winfield now.
I bumped it up to 250. I said, look, we got what's up?
So that's what's
the one that says 4-bedroom for $250. So that's one whole house, or is that a duplex?
That's a twin. That's what we call here a twin. I know sometimes in the South and the Midwest, y'all will call side by side a duplex. We call a duplex here in Philly if you got like one apartment on the top floor, other apartment on the bottom floor. We'll call that a duplex.
Ah, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
We call that right there a twin.
So one side of it is 250.
Yep.
Well, 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath. Ain't that the whole thing?
That's
Let's look
2,000
at it.
square feet. Dang, that's big.
I think that's the whole thing. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let's read the information.
And that's a
It's a twin. This twin house offers 4 bedrooms. So yeah, you're getting the whole thing. The second floor offers 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, unfinished basement. So I guess it's on both sides,
No, it's one side. It's one else. It's one side, Erica.
Let me see. I'm reading. It says it's twin house. Okay, that's a pretty big one.
Yeah, but that's Winfield. That's a section of West Philly. You might have heard Will Smith talk about Winfield and Overbrook, and so it's a fairly nice area. Looks like a hoarder.
We got the hoarders. Oh, I can smell that house from here. The cat pee. I can smell it.
You're getting triggered.
Listen, we had a family member had a Victorian house. We had to clean that thing out every year. Just like, where are you finding this stuff? It's a mental disorder, y'all. So I'm not trying to make fun of it, but it is a mental disorder. It's like they find
Definitely
stuff.
is. Definitely is.
All I can think about is Beanie Siegel's verse on "Guess Who's Back" with Scarface as I look at the house. You know, the pissy mattresses and all.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm out here. Okay. So what are some positives about Philly, right? Is it the affordability of it? Because you hear all the news of people moving there, the prices and taxes are going up, but we do hear about the crime. So what is the draw to Philly? Is it just it's cheaper than New York?
So, but wait a minute. I want to stay on taxes real quick.
For sure. Let's do it.
What a lot of people don't realize is that out of most of the major cities, Philadelphia still has a lower tax base than usual for a major city. And so, like you said, they haven't caught up. Tax dollars here fund the school district. That's always an issue. But I mean, I think there's a lot of positives about Philly. And I love Philly so much. I'm one of the biggest critics, right? So if you ever go on my Facebook page and I'll say, see why we can't be like Atlanta, or why can't we do certain things? Because I want to see change and I want to see progress. But there's a lot of things about Philly I think that are awesome, right? One of the oldest cities in the country. Philly used to be a black town, still very much black dominated. You can find a lot of black culture there. Cheesesteaks are awesome. Hoagies are awesome. I know we're talking about health as well, so that's kind of contradictory. But
moderation.
What's that?
Moderation.
Yes, in moderation, right? We still got the pretzels and we got water ice, right? But Philly is also one of the oldest cities, so we have a lot of historical facts here as well. Plus, it's easy to get around. Oh man, I hate I'm about to say this, right? But we're right in between New York, right in between DC and Baltimore, so we're accessible to a lot of things, accessible to the Midwest. So Philly has a lot to offer, and yes,
4th largest media market,
right? And yes, it's cheaper than New York and cheaper than DC right now. So people like it for that reason. And it's not just New York and DC. What a lot of people aren't telling you is that there are also a lot of European and Asian buyers that are in the markets here as well. And they're coming with cold, hard cash. So
AJ said, gray's the new tan. It must be, because as you see it scrolling through the real, someone said rent is not too high. The people in the areas don't grow financially.
You could make that argument. But here's the thing. The median income in Philly for black folks, the median black income is about $34,000. So when your median income is there so low and everything else is going up around you, it's going to create some strife. And a lot of folks, aren't as sophisticated as Tim and Erica a lot of times. So they aren't into skill development. They're not necessarily into investing. And so that's where the challenge is. Well,
we also have people that are stagnant. You know what I'm saying? Like this whole, I think
Well, that's what I was trying to say, but I was trying to be politically correct about it.
You being nice. I'm gonna just say it. Y'all still stagnant at them jobs. It's time to get some skills. Like, people got real mad at me because I was like, if you was home the past year and you ain't group, people like, Erica, how dare you? People was worried about the pandemic and home with their kids. Nah, man, I was watching news all over in Philly. Y'all was having street parties and cookouts and
some of us were.
And shoulder to shoulder, living it up.
Some of us were. But that is real, right? When the kids had to go home and they had to be homeschooled, there was a big push for internet access. There were a lot of people that didn't have internet access. And so that was a whole thing. And the major cable company there got behind it and did some free things like giving out, like drug dealers giving out turkeys on Thanksgiving. But, it's rough. So, yes, some of it is stagnant, but some of the moms that's got 3-4 kids home, it's hard to do anything else too. So I get it on both sides. I ain't making no excuses. I'm just saying I understand.
Made them babies. I ain't make them babies. I get to have the fun making the babies. You got to watch. All right. So he said I'm down 340 to 280.
Nice.
6'4". Always was a football player, power lifter. Goal is 240. Man, you can do
Congrats.
it. You can do it. Listen. They get on. KS was getting hard on the women on the internet, but I said, you see these brothers out here with straight double tires, straight carrying a whole person. Like, they won't say nothing to black men about being fat. Ed Lover, the radio dude, losing his whole foot. I'm like, we ain't gonna talk about black men yet. Like, they gotta get their stuff together too. Yes, John, some of the neighborhoods are mixed. Philly is also an hour from Atlantic City.
Wait a minute. Back up. Say that again. What areas are mixed in Philly? Philly is one of the most segregated cities in America.
He said, is it a mix? Black areas versus white areas or Hispanic?
Yes. I mean, you can kind of go anywhere you want. It used to be a lot worse when I was growing up, and I traveled around pretty much, and I wasn't that bad. But Philly is very segregated. Again, most of the major areas are black. You have your white areas, you have your Hispanic areas, and you have your Asian areas for the most part.
Okay.
Did I say Latino or Hispanic? Yeah, there's definitely
either one. I trust you.
Yep. But things are changing though, right? The black areas ain't black no more. You got Starbucks coming up, and you got people walking little poodle dogs around in the hood as the spots where the trap houses used to be.
I love that. I mean, y'all cracking me up. I'm gonna be good though. Is there a place y'all get to petition this stuff or not?
Petition what?
Petition against these tax raises. Or is it already over?
You can always there's programs like don't get me the line. There's programs for the seniors. There's a homestead homestead exemption. There are some things, and again, city council has not approved the rates yet, so who knows what's going to happen. But yeah, there's a process for that too.
Okay, so there's like
if
you're elderly.
What's that?
Like if you're elderly.
If you're elderly, there's a what is it called? The tax abatement program, which they're trying to get rid of for the developers or anybody that does major renovations to their home. They may be able to avoid paying real estate taxes for 10 years or 5 years, depending upon how you apply, what renovations you've done.
Listen, they ain't playing with y'all. They said the city wants $92 million in additional property tax revenue by next year. Run them their money, they said. They want $460 million over the next 5 years. Whew. Now, this is the increase. So they have a homestead, owner-occupied homestead exemption tax. If your house was $45,000 to $65,000, y'all saw the houses we showed you under $65,000. Did everybody see? I mean, it was just a second ago. So, and lowering the wage tax for city residents to 3.7 over 2 years. The plan also includes a tiny cut in wage tax for people who work in Philadelphia but live outside the city.
Yep.
Now, who do you think put that in the bill? Okay. They also he's pitching a 20% increase in funding for the long-time owner-occupants program, which aids Philadelphians who have lived in their home for 10 years and see a significant jump in their assessment and a $40 million boost over 5 years to programs that help people stay in their homes, such as rent relief and the Senior Citizens Tax Freeze Program. Growing property values reflect well on Philadelphia, being a place of choice, and represent an opportunity to build wealth for some time. In Kennedy's statement, but homeowners deserve protection. This is why I'm proposing $200 million in new homeowner and rent relief over 5 years. At the same time, additional revenues resulting in these rising values present an opportunity to reduce the most onerous of city taxes, the wage tax, by $260 million. Now, they're throwing out a lot of numbers. And everything I'm reading here, all this told me is some old people ain't got to pay tax, but everybody else, y'all about to get that tax, baby. You about to get it. You about to get it.
Well, Philly is an older city. Pennsylvania is an older state, meaning we have older residents. So actually, we might have more retirees than Florida. I forgot. I read the stats somewhere. I would have to look that up, but it's close. It's like either first or second for retirees. So there are a lot of retirees that live in PA. And so they're trying to protect them so they don't leave the state and run away.
But outside again, Philly, PA is pretty country, huh?
Oh, it's the Alabama.
That's the joke. The joke is it's Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and Alabama or Mississippi in between.
So I used to have to go to Allentown.
Okay.
And I was amazed at how many places closed at 9 o'clock at night.
Oh yeah.
I would fly into Philly, drive to Allentown, and I'll just like if I would have to work late because I would be working on projects. After 9 o'clock, there was nothing open. There was nothing to eat. You'd have to go to a gas station and buy food. You know
why is that? Why was that?
Like, and then there's no major. When I was going, there's no real big hotel chains there. Like it's just your standard. Like it's and just driving through. I was like, man, growing up in the South, I always thought the East Coast was just a bunch of buildings. But even outside of New York City, it's all country for the most part, except in that city.
That's a fact. That's a fact. I mean, Eric asked why is that? Well, Allentown is its own city in of itself. Mm-hmm. And so Allentown is about an hour, maybe an hour, 15 minutes outside of Philly. And that's like its own section, its own thing. It's not city at all.
It's saying it has a lot of Dutch history.
Now it is growing. Like the activity there is growing now, but Tim, what were we talking? Early 90s, late 90s?
Talking about 2008, 2007, 2009.
They had some development up there, but yeah, they were notorious for closing at 9, 10 o'clock.
Bruh, I'm talking about Domino's Pizza. I'm talking about you couldn't even get a pizza delivered after 9 o'clock. And they looked at you like you were crazy when you asked, like, oh, it closed at 9. Like, what's wrong with you, man? This ain't Philly. If I had $1 for every time somebody told me this ain't Philly, I'd have like $15.
Yep.
Like, sorry. You should listen, Tim. They won't play with you.
You probably could have found some food if you went to the casino, which is further out, but
I had no clue they even had casinos.
The casino's closer to Easton. So.
Y'all got a gang of Amish people out there too, huh?
Oh yeah. A lot of them in Lancaster. Which I can't give you the rest. It's further north south of Allentown. But yeah,
so
there's a lot of Amish people.
Take from Allentown to New York City, I saw some Amish people on the road. Like
with the buggies
whatever that
and the horses.
It was it looked like something off of a movie.
Listen, Lancaster has a lot of Amish folks. You can literally go there. They've kind of preserved it to a certain degree. The Amish country is what they call it. And you will literally see people with horses and buggies on the same roads as cars. So that's not uncommon.
They got a right to drive with everybody on the road. You can't push them off the road.
Yep.
Okay. So y'all cracking me up in the chat. John said, I'm 56. I remember everything on Sunday was closed in Boston. Ain't that a Catholic city? Mostly Catholic? Boston?
Yeah, it used to be. I mean, but so is Philly.
On Sundays here in Texas.
Listen, these people, and I met somebody, when I was in Killeen, remember they had to drive. I don't know if you know anybody military from Killeen. They had a county over that was dry. So people would drive to this county line and buy alcohol. And so then finally they voted it down because they were like sick of people just driving all the way out to go get this alcohol. It was stupid.
Yeah, they just changed the laws here in Dallas where you can buy liquor from places not associated, like not off the river. You know, the whole thing back in the day was I got to go across the river to get alcohol. Like the liquor stores were all across on a river essentially. So it's crazy. But you can't buy a car on Sundays in Texas.
Yeah. In North Carolina, a lot of the car places are closed on Sunday in military towns. And people thought that was weird. And I was like, well, it's church day.
You can buy a gun though.
Man, you really can though. So out of this dissection we've done on an hour for Philly, what's the overall? What's the overall, Mr. Ellis? Is the property tax gonna go up or not? And what we doing here? Is Philly kind of getting some progression? We got to get the crime wrapped up, or what? What's gonna happen next year?
I'm not sure about real estate tax. I mean, a lot of people are predicting that it's going to go up. I'm still on the fence about it. It'll all depend on what council decides to do. And a lot of people on council are pro the citizenry. And the citizenry does not want that to happen. But here's the reality. Part of the reason why the city needs that real estate tax is that's what they use to fund the schools. Mm-hmm. And Pennsylvania does not fund Philadelphia schools the way they are supposed to do. So there's always been this big fight between Philadelphia and Harrisburg, which is the capital, to get public school appropriate funds for Philadelphia. So that's where a lot of the pressure is coming from. Other part of the pressure is COVID shut down a lot of things. So the budget, while they still have a surplus, last I looked, they still are down. The monies are low. So they're trying to figure out ways to stock their piles back up. But I still think there's opportunity in Philly. I don't think it'll ever be totally like a New York or like a DC, but we are attracting new people here. The landscape of the city is changing, right? Philadelphia was once the biggest population was black. It's no longer that. It's now white. So, things are happening.
DC used to be Chocolate City.
Yep.
Are they moving out to the suburbs, Kamari?
A lot of them are moving out to the suburbs, but I'll be honest, I'm really not sure where people are being displaced to. Some of them are going to the suburbs, but I'm not sure if it's people just moving. I know it's people just moving in because Philadelphia did. We were experiencing depopulation for a while. And so now people are starting to move in because of the tax breaks that people got to buy homes. And that's how they attracted people from the New Yorks and the DCs too. That was part of it. So.
I'll put it like this. When I was in Miami, the Hispanic people kept kicking off me off of Uber rides. And then a black dude would pick me up and I'd be like, where you from? Philly. And I'd be like, what's up with y'all down here? Just getting a break. I'm like, what you gonna do in Miami? I don't know. I watched every one of them. I don't know. I just had to get out of Philly. And I'd be like, all right. So,
I didn't realize how black Philly was when I went the first time. Getting off the airplane, I saw, it was almost a culture shock, because I didn't expect to see so many black people. That's not what's advertised. Kind of like when y'all watch TV and you see Dallas, they show farms and cowboys and stuff like that. Ain't what Dallas is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But when I got off the plane, I was like, man, like everywhere I went throughout the entire airport, it seemed like the entire staff was black.
A lot of it is.
Cops, firemen, city bus drivers, everybody. I was like, man, I like it here.
Yeah. Listen, anytime, all you got to do is go back to the Great Migrations. Anywhere black folks, when we left the South, any of those destinations are still predominantly black.
Got off the train somewhere. That's what they had.
Yep. Whether it's New York, DC, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Chicago, Philly, they're still, black towns, but they're changing. It's changing.
So, we talked about the schools. You said the schools aren't getting enough funding. Is that some of the crime issue there? Is it lack of jobs or lack of opportunities?
Careful. Last time I was on your channel, I got harangued because I said something that was a little outdated, right? But yes,
but it's okay.
Yes,
Okay.
education, in my opinion, is still a problem. I'm not sure. The dropout rate is still pretty bad. I think I said 50% last time.
Man,
That's
they
what
were
it
so bad.
was. Yeah, but that's what it was in
Back in the
like
day.
back in the day. So I was referencing old material. But it's still pretty bad, right? And one of the biggest reasons Philadelphia can't attract big companies a lot of times is because they don't feel that our citizens have enough education. So it's an issue, even though we have one of the biggest university hubs in the country. So a lot of times we have people coming in from out of town, going to our Temples, University of Penn's, LaSalle's, and all the other good colleges in the area. A lot of them still leave once they graduate. So it's rough. It's rough, but I still think there's potential here. You just have to be selective and go through your process just like anything else, right? You can't just buy, throw an offering for $50,000 and $60,000 over offering. You got to be selective about what you're doing. You got to understand the cash flow a property's going to generate. But that's investor 101, right? So people got to go back to the basics.
So in this, even now, I got all the way up to 400,000. I just want y'all to know I was still over here being.
Where is that? That looks like Northern Liberties.
Yeah, North Philadelphia East and Cecil B. Moore.
Yeah, that's Northern Liberties.
And this is, they went ahead and built new construction. But if you look at the pictures around it, the whole area is new construction.
Yeah, that's not too far. That's not too far from Temple University, right? So there's clusters around the university. So people have been buying around the Temple Universities, the Drexel Universities, the University of Pennsylvania's. Any of that has been gold, gold for real estate investors.
Yeah, they went straight up ground up new construction.
Now, that is a thing, right? Philly does have a lot of abandoned homes here. So at some point, I'm guessing they want to really get rid of that old housing stock and start newer construction from the ground up. If they can get the materials right.
Well, if they can get the incentives, because trust me, these builders, they'll change every window, they'll change every door to get what's already in stock. They ain't gonna do too much.
Yeah, but sometimes when you're running numbers, sometimes it makes sense to tear it all down and start from the ground up. Sometimes.
For sure. I told Tim that's the kind of money I want in Austin, where I just go buy a $400,000 house, tear it down. I want to build something different. Like it's just like when I see people do that, I'm like, oh, they from California. They from California or investor.
It's funny, right? The financing is actually a little bit easier. I mean, when your numbers are all right,
Man, we'll talk offline on that for sure. Yes.
To get construction financing than it is regular financing.
This is crazy, y'all. Y'all don't know. I could be on realtor.com for hours just examining a city and where the city moves and how it moves. But also Abbott Elementary. Are you enjoying that? Talking about Philly or no?
So I haven't watched it. I actually went to high school with the young lady who's like the star of that. So I think it's really, really cool. But I haven't watched it. I've seen the teacher talk about stuff, and it just goes to show teachers really are important. I personally feel we don't value our teachers enough. We don't value our teachers enough, and they don't get treated properly.
Yeah, I'm at a crossroads on it because I had a very bad public school experience, like every single year, and then they moved me to private school and moved me to AP classes and just the other side of town, and I had a great the remaining time is school experience. And so my thoughts are on like there's just too many people in the classroom. They wear them out. They wear them out. But I also think people take the job because they think the job's gonna be easy. So there's a degree of that in the South.
It's three-pronged, right? The issue is kind of three-pronged, right? It's what you just said, classroom size, not enough resources. Some of these parents ship their kids off to these schools as daycare, right? School wasn't supposed to be the end-all be-all for your kids to get breakfast, lunch, dinner, and counseling all at the same time. Yeah. And so a lot of these teachers are overworked, but there hasn't been any real systematic change to really combat that either, though.
Right. So back in the day, teachers could beat your ass if you acted up. and tell your parents about it, and then you get another beating.
I mean, some of the teachers will show up to your crib, right? They go to your house.
Hey, he was tripping today.
Yeah.
So last question, and we'll close it out because we all got to wrap it up. I know Tim got to run. Tim, you're muted. Unmute yourself.
No, so I still keep in touch with teachers like that.
Yeah.
Like the ones that were really, really invested. I still keep in touch with them.
Yeah,
that's dope. That's dope.
So is Philly a place to retire?
So depends on where you're coming from, right? Because it might be a culture shock for you, but the price of everything is going up. But that would really depend on where you're at, what your cash flow's like, what your cost of living looks like, what do you want it to look like in retirement. Philly gets snow, right? The snow gets busy sometimes. Now, we're not as bad as some of the other spots, but it's not weird for us to get 2 feet of snow. It had to dig out.
That's too much for me. I love when they making them jokes though. How you doing, big head? They show a picture of snow in the front yard.
Yeah.
That's when they need you to come over. Help me.
Right.
Well, listen, we're going to always pick it back up on Philly because, interesting enough, I get a lot of calls from these areas, and it always surprises me. Thank y'all for touching in on the LLC topic. I always get a lot of men folk who are doing under the cover businesses, and they don't want to get the LLC. So I'm like, brother, what you want me to do here? I can only advise you what I think you should do. I'm not no lawyer. So I'm always in and out on that subject. But please, Tim Jackson, tell us where they can find you, and then Mr. Ellis, tell them where they can find you.
For sure. Of course, on YouTube, you guys. I'm on YouTube. I'll type name in the chat. Click the link. I'm trying to give yours really stand on top of me to get my content out there. I'm putting out some dope content. Really about to take it to a next level. And then Instagram at Tim Jackson Now, Twitter at Tim Jackson Now. I'm on Instagram more than anything. Let's connect. Let's have a conversation about solutions, not problems. You know what I'm saying? Like we know what the problem is. It's time to start creating a solution. So we do a lot of stuff in the community. We put on events every month for kids, teaching them how to make money in different industries, teaching adults the same. I'm just all about eliminating excuses. So get at me.
Well, Tim Jackson, you know what we told you? We asked you, how can we put 20 kids in Dallas, black kids, through AC school, HVAC repair or plumbing? We got to pick something. It's just like somehow we got to find a way to do that because people like that idea.
No, we're going to do it. It's happening. I think that people are starting to, you can only avoid these conversations for so long. And right now, I think it's getting tight and people really want solutions. So the people like us who are showing up, putting their good content out and being consistent, people that you can actually find, that you can pull up on, that stands on what they say, those are going to be the people that's going to be the leaders of this new renaissance, if you want to call it that. We just got to stay consistent. It sucks when I can make a post about some goofy shit and it'll go viral. And I can make a post about us coming together, build wealth, and 16 people will look at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a coincidence, you guys. We can't keep getting mad at people for not supporting us. That's the algorithm. So you just gotta keep putting it out there, because what's gonna happen is once they see what you're doing, they're gonna come back and see all your stuff and be like, man, this dude really is about that life. And that's where we at right now. So
you gotta feed them some Philly with the sugar.
Conversations, Eric, I appreciate you for including me and inviting me. It's always good to chop it up with people that have a consistent track record of doing what they say they're doing.
For sure. All right, Mr. Ellis, tell them where they can find you. Thank you, Tim.
You can find me at the Finance Rebel everywhere. The Finance Rebel everywhere. Tomorrow, I'm going to be reviewing the BLM tax scandal. So I'll be going over their tax issues. It's a very interesting dynamic they got going on over there.
What you going to be doing? You going to do that on YouTube?
On YouTube, yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, send me the link. I'm going to share it everywhere.
Okay, we'll do.
I want to hear that.
I got it. Yep, we're going to get at it. And there's some good and bad, but there's some singers in there. Oh boy.
I mean, she tried it. That her brother was security. She tried it. I ain't even gonna lie. She tried it. She was on it.
But the baby daddy, it's not just the brother, it's the baby daddy. Like, whoa.
Them baby daddies always get you wrong. That's why you can't mess with them. So anyway, all right, you guys. This is your girl, Erica, from the Classy Clown blog. Hey, please check out Tim Jackson on YouTube. Check out Mr. Finance Rebel talk about BLM. They're going to be cutting up, and I've got to go sit on a bike for 30 minutes at the gym. So, you guys, this is your girl, Erica Classic Climb Blog. You already know, 94 days to the boat party, 50 days till I speak in Panama City, Panama, and 20-some days till I'm at the boot camp on how to build real estate. We can't just complain about lack of housing. We might have to be people who build the housing. So, all right, guys, it's been real.
Facts.
Let's
Have
get
a
it.
wonderful